I'm Ira Moore, founder of the Moore Law Firm, which is located in the Westridge Business Center in Fishkill, New York. Today, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about traumatic brain injuries, also known as concussions. I see frequent cases involving traumatic brain injuries as a result of motor vehicle accidents. When you're hit in the rear, it is very common to experience the signs and symptoms of concussion. What happens? Well, your brain is floating inside your skull, and when you're hit in the rear, it can cause what they call a contra coup effect, where your head is shaken back and forward and back. And when that happens, the brain can strike the inside of the skull. The symptoms of concussion can vary dramatically from some very mild headaches to loss of consciousness. Concussions um, are generally graded as slight, mild, moderate, and severe. Slight, the symptoms tend to last 7 to 10 days and disappear. Mild concussions, the symptoms can last much longer, sometimes a year or longer. Moderate concussions, symptoms can last 3 years or may even be permanent. Severe concussions usually involve people who have loss of consciousness for an extended period of time. They may even be in a coma. So, what are the signs and symptoms of concussion? Well, besides headaches, you may find that you have sensitivity to bright light. You may find that you are having difficulty sleeping. So you may have sleep disturbance. You may have funny sensations in your face. You may have some hearing loss issues. You may have short-term memory difficulties. Cognitive deficits also may involve difficulty in making decisions, organizing your thoughts. Those things go into the executive function of cognition. So there are other signs and symptoms that you may experience. You can even experience personality changes. So, how do you diagnose a concussion? Well, typically, the doctors who you should see for a concussion are neurologists. They're not the only MDs who treat concussion, but if you have any sort of significant concussion, I would go to a neurologist. And initially, what they're concerned about after a car accident where there is suspected concussion is whether or not there's any bleeding inside the skull. So they may do a scan to determine and rule out that that's the case, because if there is any bleeding, they may have to take immediate action. Most of my clients don't have anything like that and still find themselves with significant symptoms of concussion. So when they go to the neurologist does a number of different types of things to evaluate the concussion. And ultimately, if the symptoms persist, they can send you for testing by a neuropsychologist, that's a PhD, not an MD, who is trained to administer different types of tests, kind of like the tests that you would get in public school. There are tests such as a Minnesota multiphasic inventory test. Lots of different tests. They take usually many hours to administer and are frequently done over a period of days rather than hours. The doctor will then evaluate the raw data from these tests and will be able to isolate the types of brain function that you're having problems with. Once they have that information, they can send you for cognitive rehabilitation therapy and train your brain to work around the areas that were damaged. And simple things you can learn, simple skills like carrying a pad and a pen with you so that you can make notes to help yourself if you're having difficulty with your memory. But there are many other things that are involved with cognitive rehabilitation therapy. So if you have any more questions about concussions, I would recommend that you visit our website at maurerlaw.net. That's MAURER law.net. Or you can call me for a free consultation, and I'll be happy to spend some time with you and give you some guidance. Thank you very much for watching. My phone number here at the Moore Law Firm is 845-896-5295.